Today we're diving deep into omega-3 fatty acids.
Right.
These aren't just any fats, they're essential, key for your well-being.
That's right. And these are quite different from the fats you might be consciously trying to limit.
Right.
Omega-3s fall into that essential category because, well, we just can't produce enough of them ourselves.
So you have to get them from food.
Getting them through our diet is therefore, yeah, absolutely vital.
Exactly. And to really get why these are so important, we've pulled together information from some top sources. We're looking at insights from places like Harvard School of Public Health, the NIH, the American Heart Association.
The big names.
Yeah, and plus we'll dig into findings from key scientific journals, Circulation Research, Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, stuff like that.
Solid research there.
Think of this as like your shortcut to understanding omega-3s without wading through all the heavy science yourself.
Yeah, cutting through the noise.
Our mission today is pretty straightforward. Just pull out the key knowledge you need to really appreciate how crucial these nutrients are.
And maybe clear up some confusion, like the different types where you actually find them.
Yes.
And, the specific ways they help our health. It can get technical fast.
Right. We'll keep it focused on what really matters for you.
Okay.
So let's jump in. The main players, ALA, EPA, and DHA. These are the three big omega-3s we hear about. What's the basic difference?
Well, the main difference really lies in where we typically find them. ALA, that stands for alpha-linolenic acid.
Okay.
That's mainly in plant-based foods, so think things like flaxseed, chia seeds, walnuts, hemp seeds, that kind of thing.
Got it. Plant sources.
Then you have EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, docosahexaenoic acid.
Those are the long ones.
Yeah, the mouthfuls. They're mostly found in marine life, particularly fatty fish.
Like salmon?
Exactly. Salmon, mackerel, sardines, anchovies, tuna, those oily fish.
Okay.
And it's also worth mentioning, algae is a direct source of both EPA and DHA too.
Oh, interesting. So not just fish.
Not just fish, no.
No.
Good for vegetarians or vegans.
Okay. That makes sense why fish oil is such a big thing then. Now, I've heard our bodies can convert some of that plant ALA into EPA and DHA. How does that work? Is it easy?
Well, that's a really interesting point. Our bodies do have the machinery, the enzymes, to convert ALA into EPA and then further on to DHA. But, and this is the key thing, the efficiency of that conversion process. It's actually not very high. It can be quite limited in many people.
Oh, really? So just eating flax seeds might not give you all the EPA and DHA you need?
It helps, definitely. ALA is beneficial on its own, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, relying solely on ALA for your EPA and DHA might mean you don't reach the levels that a lot of the research, especially around heart and brain health, links to marine sources.
Okay, wow. That's a really crucial distinction then. Plant good, but maybe not the whole picture for EPA and DHA.
Pretty much, yeah.
So let's get into those benefits then, starting with the heart.
Yeah.
We hear so much about omega-3s being heart healthy. What are they actually doing in there?
Right. So if we look at the cardiovascular side, the research is quite compelling. This comes from groups like the American Heart Association and studies published in, journals like Circulation Research.
Okay.
Omega-3s have several positive effects. One big one is they can significantly lower blood triglyceride levels.
Triglycerides. Those are fats in the blood, right?
Exactly. Think of them as like excess fat floating around in your bloodstream. High levels aren't good. It's like sludge building up in your pipes. It makes your heart work harder.
Right. That's a great analogy. Sludge in the pipes.
Yeah. Omega-3s seem to help clear some of that out, ease the strain. They can also contribute to a slight lowering of blood pressure.
Okay, slight lowering. Good.
And perhaps most importantly, they're linked to a decreased risk of, serious events like heart attack and stroke.
Wow. Okay. That's significant.
Yeah.
Decreased risk. Any other ways they help the heart and vessels?
Absolutely. They also seem to improve what's called endothelial function. Endothelial function. Yeah, it's basically the health of the inner lining of your blood vessels. Think of it like the Teflon coating on a pan.
Ah, okay. Keeps things flowing.
Exactly. Helps things flow smoothly. If that lining gets damaged or isn't healthy, it's like a scratched pan where things can stick and cause problems. Omega-3s help keep that lining smooth and functional.
That makes sense.
Plus, they have anti-inflammatory properties. They can help reduce inflammation throughout the cardiovascular system.
So less irritation in the blood vessels.
Precisely. So the big picture takeaway here is that getting enough omega-3s is, it's a really positive step for your long-term heart health.
That's really clear, and those analogies definitely help. Okay, let's shift gears up to the brain. Equally vital organ. What's the story with omega-3s and brain health? I know DHA is mentioned a lot.
Yes, DHA is a major player here, and this touches on the actual, physical structure of our brain.
Structure, how so?
Well, DHA isn't just something the brain uses for energy. It's a critical structural component. It's literally built into the membranes of our brain cells.
Right.
And it's also a key structural part of the retina in our eyes. Research, like stuff published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, really highlights how vital it is for cognitive function, thinking memory,
Right.
both throughout life and especially during brain development, like in infancy. It's kind of amazing to think that something you eat becomes part of the literal fabric of your brain.
That is mind-boggling, a
Right.
building block. So it makes sense that having enough would be important for how well our brain works.
Exactly. Having adequate levels, particularly of DHA, supports things like memory, learning, and general cognitive processing.
And if you don't have enough.
Well, deficiencies, especially during development, have been linked to issues. And beyond just basic function, there's growing interest in omega-3s and mental health, too.
Oh, like mood.
Yeah, some findings, for instance, in the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, suggest omega-3s might influence neurotransmitter pathways involved in mood regulation. There's evidence suggesting supplementation could potentially help reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety for some people. It's a really active area of research.
That is fascinating. Depression and anxiety. Wow. Okay, what about as we get older? I've seen headlines about omega-3s and like slowing down brain aging or dementia.
Right. That's another important area. Some studies, including those in journals like Alzheimer's and Dementia, have definitely explored whether omega-3s can help slow cognitive decline in older adults.
What do they say?
It's promising, but we need to be a bit cautious here. The research is still evolving, and it's probably not a magic bullet.
Okay.
But there is some evidence suggesting a potential benefit, that higher intake might be associated with slower decline in certain cognitive functions. It's definitely something scientists are still investigating deeply.
So potential, but not definitive yet.
Got it. Okay, so we know they're important for heart and brain. We know the types ALA from plants, EPDHA from fish, and algae. How do we actually get enough in our everyday diets? What's the practical advice?
Right, the practical side. So as we said, fatty fish are fantastic sources of EPA and DHA.
The salmon, the mackerel.
Exactly. The American Heart Association actually recommends aiming for at least 2 servings of fatty fish per week. That's a good target for many people.
2 servings a week. Okay.
But obviously not everyone eats fish or eats it that often.
Right. Vegetarians, vegans, or just people who don't like fish.
Precisely.
No.
So for those individuals, supplements are a very common option. You've got fish oil, krill oil.
Krill oil, like the little shrimp things.
Yeah, tiny crustaceans. Krill oil is another source of EPA and DHA. And importantly, there's algal oil. From the algae we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. That's a plant-based source of preformed EPA and DHA, making it a great option for vegans and vegetarians. The NIH Office of Dietary Supplements has lots of info on these.
Okay, good to know about algal oil. And what about maximizing those plant ALA sources, like the flax and chia? Any tips there?
Yeah, definitely. For flax seeds, grinding them is really key.
Like grinding.
The whole seeds can sometimes pass through undigested. Grinding breaks them open and makes the omega-3s inside much more available for your body to absorb.
Makes sense, like cracking a nut.
Kind of, yeah. You can easily add ground flax to smoothies, yogurt, oatmeal, baked goods.
Easy enough.
Chia seeds are great too. They form a gel when wet, so people use them in puddings or just sprinkle them on salads or yogurt. Walnuts are simple, just eat them as a snack or add them to meals. Hemp seeds too, very versatile.
So lots of ways to sneak them in.
Yeah, it's about finding simple ways to integrate these foods regularly.
Okay, that's really practical. Now the big question, how much do we actually need, whether from food or supplements? Are there set guidelines? It feels like numbers vary a bit.
They do vary slightly depending on the organization, but there are some general targets. For general adult health, the European Food Safety Authority, for example, suggests aiming for around 250 to 500 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA per day.
250 to 500 milligrams.
Okay. Now, for specific situations, like people who already have coronary heart disease, the American Heart Association might recommend a higher intake, sometimes up to 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram per day.
So it depends on your health status too.
It can, yes. Your existing health conditions and, of course, how much you're already getting from your diet naturally are factors to consider.
Makes sense. And what about Can you have too much? Is there an upper limit or any safety concerns?
That's a really important point to bring up. Omega-3s are generally considered very safe, especially from food sources. When it comes to supplements, the NIH suggests that doses up to, say, 3,000 to 5,000 milligrams per day are generally well tolerated by most adults.
Okay, that's quite a high ceiling.
It is. But there's a crucial caveat. High doses of omega-3s, particularly EPA and DHA, can have a mild blood thinning effect.
Blood thinning, like aspirin.
Similar effect, yeah. So this means people who are already taking anticoagulant medications, blood thinners like warfarin.
Yeah, Coumadin, stuff like that.
Exactly. Those individuals absolutely need to talk to their doctor before taking high-dose omega-3 supplements or even significantly increasing intake through diet. It's a potential interaction that needs medical guidance.
Okay, that is super important. Doctor consultation if you're on blood thinners. Definitely noted.
Crucial safety point.
Right. So, wow, we've covered a lot of ground here on omega-3s. To sort of wrap things up, what are the absolute key takeaways you'd want everyone listening to remember?
Okay, the core messages are really these. First, omega-3s are essential. Your body needs them, can't make enough itself, so diet is key.
Essential. Got it.
Second, remember the main types, ALA from plants, EPA and DHA, mainly from marine sources like fatty fish, but also algae. And that conversion from ALA isn't super efficient.
Plant versus marine.
Yeah.
And the conversion issue.
Right. Third, the big benefits. They're vital for heart health. Think lower triglycerides, better blood vessel function, and crucial for brain health, both structure and function, maybe even mood.
Heart and brain powerhouses.
Exactly. And finally, incorporating them is doable. Aim for fatty fish a couple of times a week. Use those ALA-rich seeds and nuts. Or consider a supplement like fish, krill, or especially algal oil if you don't eat fish. It's a proactive step for well-being.
Absolutely. It really drives home that it's not just about cutting out the bad fats, but actively seeking out these incredibly beneficial good ones.
Precisely.
So as you're listening, maybe think about your own diet. Are you getting those couple of servings of fish? Are you sprinkling those seeds? Does this info about heart or brain health resonate with your own goals?
Yeah, making it personal. And maybe, this is a final thought to leave you with. Considering how profoundly these specific fats impact, our heart and brain, our most vital organs.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other maybe overlooked small dietary components might be quietly holding surprising power over our long-term health and, well, how sharp we stay?
That's a fascinating question. What else is hiding in plain sight in our food? Definitely something to ponder.